91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr.Chris Radio of Horror program. And tonight on Radio of Horror, from the movie There Is No Door, we have writer-director Ward Crockett on the show with us. What is There Is No Door for people not familiar with this movie?
There Is No Door is a short horror film, mostly shot at this point. To give you kind of an idea of what it's about, it follows a girl from childhood to adulthood as she contends with a curse that has plagued her family for generations and generations. And this curse essentially drives people to the point of suicide. When they reach the breaking point, this strange, mysterious door appears to them in the family home. They pass through this door and they're never heard from again. So our protagonist witnesses this several times with various family members, and one day figures out how to access the door, and she goes through, and some bad stuff happens. So it's very much metaphorical treatment of depression and suicide and so forth. So a few years ago, a friend of mine committed suicide, and it very much happened out of the blue. Depression was something I didn't know that he dealt with, and that and some experiences in my own family with depression and how people don't really talk about this mental illness and mental illness in general kind of got me thinking about the communication and language surrounding mental illness and depression, and kind of came up with this concept where this door is this symbol for suicide, but no one ever talks about this door in this fictional family. So that's where the title comes from, There Is No Door, because for all intents and purposes, everybody treats it as though if they ignore it, then it doesn't exist. So that was sort of the seed concept there.
How long did it take you to film the movie?
So we shot for 4 days on location in a mansion in the suburbs of Chicago. And then we had 2 days on a soundstage at Space Film Studios, also in Chicago. The soundstage stuff was where all of our really crazy sort of fantasy horror gory sequences happen. And the on-location stuff was fantastic. It's an old 19th century mansion, very gothic and creepy and weird, full of winding hallways and creepy doors and so forth. So, yeah, 6 days total.
There's a lot of your IMDb is a lot of different shorts and things. One thing that caught my eye was Completely Normal Activity.
Completely Normal Activity is an improvised comedy horror web series. We have 2 seasons. You can check it out at completelynormalactivity.com. I think it shows up better at like wordpress.completelynormalactivity.com. And so I think we have 16, 17 or 18 episodes in there. So as the title suggests, it's very much a sort of a parody of Paranormal Activity. The cool thing about what we did, all of the dialogue is improvised. So Chicago is a huge improv town. So we got all these comedic improvisers to come in, and we had character outlines for these people, for these characters, and we had episode outlines, and we essentially sort of gave them a space to work in and these episode outlines, and they would try and hit these different plot points in the outlines, but they would improvise the dialogue from plot point to plot point. So every time we did a take, we essentially did a single take, and we'd run it for like 5 to 10 minutes, and we would just see what happened. And we'd do like 5 or 6 takes of a scene or sometimes a complete episode, and then we'd cut together the bits and pieces, which we were able to do because we filmed with multiple cameras. So we'd have, I think the most we ever had was like 8 different cameras. So it was kind of a cool kind of experiment in like comedy and horror. So it's worth checking out.
Do you want to make a full feature length movie, or do you find it easier just to get shorts done?
I definitely want to do another feature. I've actually done one feature called Night Things. Very kind of an ultra low budget sci-fi horror movie. And you can get the DVD on Amazon. If you do a search for Night Things, pops up. You should probably type in Night Things and my name. Otherwise, you'll get. I think there's a book called Night Things, and maybe a couple other things. Night Things is. I did that a few years ago. It's about two women who get trapped in this sort of mysterious alien bubble and have to fight their way out. So they battle these crazy kind of zombie-like monsters, and there are lots of like alien devices and stuff. It's a fun ride, but I definitely want to work on another feature. I'm working on a few different scripts right now. One of them is not really a horror movie, more of a thriller, but I do have a couple of horror possibilities. So it's all about the finding the money, and as you know. So,
Do you want to stick just to horror movies?
no, I'm really into a lot of different stuff. I guess I'm just looking for good scripts. Like I write and direct a lot of my own stuff, but I love working with other people's scripts. And I've done a couple of comedy shorts from other people's scripts, and one or two just straight up drama pieces. And I love doing it. Like I grew up with horror. Like I've always loved horror, and that's probably what I have the most fun working on. But I really enjoy non-horror stuff for sure.
What was the film that made you want to become a filmmaker?
Let's see. It's hard to say. As far as like horror movies go, The Shining was definitely one of my favorites. The Haunting from 1963. That really kind of, I guess, cemented my interest or inspired my interest in sound design, because sound plays such a massive role in that movie. I don't know if I could point to one particular movie, but I know it sounds funny, but Die Hard was always a big, uh,
Die Hard.
yeah, totally non-horror, but just such a fantastic movie that it just got me so jazzed about the possibilities of like action and so forth that always loved that one. So
In the movie "Twas the Night," which I saw this weekend, there's a homeless woman who's saying that she's trying to be just like her heroes of the anti-Christmas, the Sticky Bandits from Home Alone, the Grinch, Scrooge, Hans Gruber from Die Hard.
that's awesome.
I
Fantastic.
was like, thank you. Somebody else who mentioned that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I love that. It's
It is a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas time. John McClane's gonna stop terrorists from ruining Christmas, just like
to-
Batman in Batman Returns has to stop Penguin and Catwoman from ruining Christmas in Gotham City.
I know, right? Like it totally follows the Christmas movie structure.
It does.
Like at DePaul University, where I'm doing my MFA in film, there's actually a Christmas movie class, and they show Die Hard, and I was like, yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Is there any other of your films that you would like to recommend people to check out who aren't familiar with your body of work?
That's a good question. So I have, let's see what else I have that you can actually watch. I know there's some stuff that isn't online, or a lot of stuff that isn't online. Like you can get Night Things on DVD. We're working on an HD version of that, so you'll be able to stream that. Because apparently, people don't buy DVDs anymore. So we're gonna get that up streaming. You can totally non-horror. You can watch another comedic web series I did called The Log Jam, which is which is political satire, pretty hardcore satire. I think if you I'm not sure where we have that up. If you go on Vimeo and you look up Log Jam, you can check that out. Eventually, I'll have some more of my shorts online. I have a short that I'm sending out to festivals now called Between, which you can go to the Facebook page. I don't know if it's facebook.com/between, but if you go to facebook.com/there is no door, you can like There Is No Door, and we have links to Between on that. Another movie I recently helped produce is called Other People's Heads.
Other People's Heads?
Other People's Heads, which is a really cool short film that'll be done in February, but it's about a death panel of sort of uber elite wealthy people sitting in a dilapidated ballroom, and they are executing people with a guillotine. And I can't give away too much. I can't give away the twist. But basically, when somebody gets their head lopped off, the body has a strange reaction. So you can watch out for that one also.
Do you have a website or a social media page?
Yeah, let's see. That's also on Facebook. If you go on Facebook and search for Other People's Heads, that'll pop up at the top. Yeah, it's there. So the poster is a sort of a Greek bust. But yeah, that one was super cool.
All right, let's start over again. I'll edit this out. So what's the name of your social media pages?
Sure. Go to facebook.com/there is no door. Other People's Heads you can find go on facebook.com and do a search for Other People's Heads. I think that's the best way to find it.
Cool. Awesome. We'll check it out. We appreciate you coming on the show with us to talk a little bit about There Is No Door, and we look forward to seeing it once it's finally completed.
Yes, I will be in touch. Thank you for having me on, Chris.
No problem, man. You have a good night.
Please take care.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.